grandfather instilled in me that there's no such thing as luck. He said luck is where hard work meets opportunity.
The greatest day in harness racing happens Saturday, August 3rd at the Meadowlands Racetrack. Over $3.2 million in stakes races, including the top 3-year-old filly trotters and colt trotters in the $500,000 Hambletonian Oaks and $1 million Hambletonian. Enjoy the hat giveaway, live music by the Craig Saylor Project, carnival rides and games, food trucks, pony rides, and more. Doors open at 10 a.m., first race at 12 noon. Details and tickets at playmeadowlands.com. Must be 18 or older to wager. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Hello everyone, welcome to Harness Racing Updates Tuesday in Training. I'm Heather Vitale along with trainer Nancy Takter at Millennium Farm in New Jersey, her family farm. And we have some horses to get through and get excited about 2024. But before we do that, let's touch on 2023, especially the big race, the Hambletonian Tactical Approach. I mean, a huge milestone for you. And I know it was fun hoisting that trophy up, but my favorite part was watching your dad, Jimmy, run onto the track and hug you. I mean, to me, I've seen that over and over. It's just, he was overjoyed.
Yeah, he was for sure. When I actually saw him in the winner's circle, I was like, oh no, this is going to be a little bit of an emotional moment. And he gave me a hug and he's like, that's the best Hambletonian I've ever, our family's ever won. So that was really nice. And he was really adamant too, training Tactical down as a 3-year-old and everything, because he didn't want to put his 2 cents in all the time. It's like when you have a horse like Tactical, a Tactical Approach that I thought had a lot of ability and could be a Hambletonian horse, you kind of want to, ask my dad because he's won 4 Hambletonians, so obviously he knows how to do it. And he always said to me, he's like, no, you need to figure this out on your own. It's going to be your Hambletonian horse. So and then we drew the 10-hole, but everything just worked out beautifully. And, he was just a great horse. I was very lucky to train him.
So it's really a good transition into the first horse we're going to talk about, because let's hit on Karl now. He was the United States Harness Writers Association's 2-year-old trotting champ of the year, and of course a Breeders' Crown winner. And when you're talking about the road to the Hambletonian, he's obviously going to be one of the favorites, one to watch.
Yeah, he's a magnificent animal. Last year I had 2 tactical landings, Tactical Approach and Karl. So I was, 2 for 2. So this year, obviously, we went to the sale and we bought some more tactical landings. But Karl's he's a different type of horse than Tactical Approach. But he's coming back super. I'm going to train him at the Meadowlands this coming Saturday and hopefully qualify him in a couple of weeks. But I don't want to get him ready too early because obviously we're trying to aim him for the Hambletonian, but he's coming back super. I couldn't be happier with him, and he's quite a character. I'm a part owner in him too, so it makes him even more extra special. But I'm really lucky that he's mine for sure.
I noticed his stall. It's gigantic. I posted it all over social media, and he loves it, and he is so sweet.
Yeah, that's actually always been Miki's old stall. So we don't actually put a lot of horses in that stall. You kind of have to earn it. So I think Karl, got to earn having that stall. Always be Miki's lived in that stall. Great Vintage lived in that stall, who, was a tough iron horse that my dad had that I think he raced till he was 13 and my parents owned him, which is definitely a record for Takter Stable. So, he's definitely living in luxury, that's for sure.
Now, let's talk about Caviart Belle. She's 3 now, and you really topped off the season with the 3 diamonds.
Yeah, she was really good in the beginning of last year, and then she went to Canada, and she was, probably one of the favorites for the She's a Great Lady, and she just didn't race good in the final. We brought her to Kentucky, and she was struggling a little bit with a white blood count that was a little low, and it took a while to kind of get her to bounce back. And, part of me was like, maybe I should quit with her, but then other parts of me were like, I didn't want to stop on a bad note with her, so I was like, we'll put her in the Breeders' Crown, and she made the final, and then she raced, even though she didn't get a check in the Breeders' Crown final, she raced really well. She was just in a really, really bad spot. So I was like, you know what, she's eligible for that kindergarten final. And then she ended up winning that final and got a free buy for the 3 diamonds right into the final with a good post position. And it just ended up great for her.
And Bestfriend Volo, a trotter, a 4-year-old, you just got him recently, didn't you? I mean, like last fall you got him.
Yeah, we bought him on gate, I guess in July of last year. And he's like the barn pet. Everybody loves him. He's the only horse in my stable that has a barn name, because I don't do barn names. I write out every horse's name fully on every schedule, every list, everywhere, but he's Buddy. So because he's just so friendly, and he's done a huge turnaround for us, and he raced a couple weeks ago at the Meadowlands, and right off the bat trotted a 51 flat in his 4-year-old year. So I'm excited for his year. I'm going to send him probably down to Oak Grove and race in the Kentucky Sire Stakes, and then hopefully race him in the Hamiltonian Maturity.
And Winner's Bet is brand new to your barn, isn't he?
Yes, so Winner's Bet came this winter. Lindy Farms decided to send him to me. I absolutely love this horse. He's a gorgeous animal. He had a lot of high potential last year. Things just never really panned out for him. But I think as a 4-year-old, he's going to really be able to put things together. He's much more relaxed, and he grew up a lot and filled out a lot between his 3- and 4-year-old year, which I think is really going to be beneficial for him.
And Always Be Naughty is coming back, and actually never raced as a 2-year-old, right? Just as a 3-year-old.
Yeah, she had a really long 3-year-old season, though, because she didn't race as a 2-year-old. I was like, oh, we better get her started early so she learns how to race. And did I think that she was going to end up making over $400,000 when I started with her in the beginning of her 3-year-old year? Absolutely not. I thought she was, a nice little filly. There's not a lot to her at all. She's, a little filly. She's very unique looking, actually. She's got a very unique gait, but she's very fast, and she won her first start back this year, and she will also go to Oak Grove for Kentucky Sire Stakes.
Okay, now we've picked out 11 2-year-olds to talk about, and we're making this interesting today. We want to show that you don't have to pay 6 digits to end up with something that is going to make it to the winner's circle and make money. And I know you do a ton of homework, so although there are some high-priced horses that you have in the barn, you've got plenty that you've really found, hopefully, a diamond in the rough.
Yeah, absolutely. We spend a lot of time picking out our yearlings. It's easy to go to the sale and buy Karl's sister, my BFF Annee. She's a beautiful filly. She's got a great page and a great video. Yeah, it doesn't take a lot of work to buy a filly like her, and, she's training super, but you also have, and she's going to have a lot of residual value. Obviously, she's going to, keep the value that we paid for her. But you want to find horses also that can be scores. So when I did my list for you, I was like, I'm going to pick out horses that I know that we did a lot of homework to purchase, and also homebreds. But because we do spend a lot of time. My dad watches all the yearling videos for me. I love him for that, because the fall is a very, very busy time for me, trying to race the horses that are actually in my barn before worrying about filling up for next year. So he watches all the yearling videos and shortlists off of that, and then he and I will go and inspect the yearlings, and then we shortlist them again off of that, and then the final decision is mine. So hopefully I, pick the right ones off of the final shortlist. But, like I said, so all these horses that are on this list are either homebreds or horses that we paid under $70,000 for.
Okay. So she mentioned my BFF Annee, full sister to Karl, $435,000, okay? Now, the first one we're going to talk about, though, is a pacing colt, Delray Beach. $23,000 at Lexington, and this is really exciting. Not only is he a son of Idyllic Beach, it's a great race mare, but the first crop from Tall Dark Stranger.
Yeah, he's a really nice individual. He only brought $23,000, which I think was unfortunate for the breeders, because my parents were actually one of the breeders on him, and they don't own anything in him now, so he actually went through the sale. But he's a beautiful horse. You know, I trained one of the foals out of Idyllic Beach. She was a nice filly. She just had a lot of tie-up issues. So when I saw this colt, you know, I thought that he had the looks, obviously, and then he obviously has a pedigree page. Idyllic Beach was a great mare, and Idyllic, her mother, was a great mare. So, I mean, something good has to come out of that family. And at $23,000, you can for sure take a shot.
Okay, now we're going to talk about Cookie Air. Actually, this is a name change from Beth is a Jet, $57,000 from Lexington, and it's a Bettor's Delight.
Yeah, it's really nice Bettor's Delight colt. You know, he had a great video too. He's out of a sister to tattoo artist, so good maternal family there with a lot of speed. He's not a flashy colt whatsoever, I don't think, when you bring him out, or at least he wasn't really when you brought him out on the floor at the sales. You know, some of the Captaintreacherous and so forth are big, beautiful horses, and he's a very typical, average, run-the-mill, Bettor's Delight looking type of horse. But he's got a great attitude, and he's training really well, and I'm really happy with him.
Okay, we'll talk about Fusion now, one of our homebreds from Diamond Creek, of course. Diamond Creek, Owner of the Year in 2023, Breeder of the Year in 2023, and always be Miki out of Pure Country. I mean, Pure Country, an absolute legend, and one of my favorite racing mares of all time.
Yeah, Pure Country was a great mare. My dad actually trained Pure Country, so I'm very familiar with her, and I actually handed her her first defeat with Darling on the Beach, which I like to remind him sometimes. But she was an absolute great mare, great gaited mare. You know, she even actually raced free-legged a couple times, I think. So obviously when Diamond Creek asked me to train Fusion, who's out of her, and, you know, by Always Be Miki, who's another horse that's close to our family's heart, obviously it was a no-brainer. He's a gorgeous horse. I'm for sure that he would have brought more than $70,000 at the sale, but he is a homebred.
All right, we're going to move to the fillies now. I've got JK ATM, a Captain Crunch out of JK American Beauty. Now, she's a homebred and a first foal, and I know it's not a beauty contest, but that tail of hers, I mean, she's just so cute.
She's actually a really nice looking filly. She's by Captain Crunch, who I trained, and I actually trained her mother, JK American Beauty, for Three Brothers Stable. The reason her name is JK ATM was because her mom never missed a check. In 2 years of me racing her, she never missed a check, and she would literally hit the board every time she raced. So Alan Katz always used to say that she's like our little ATM, so her first daughter got that name, and she's training beautifully. She had a little rough start to her life. She actually got stepped on by her mother and had to have metal plates put in her tibia as a foal. So we were, like, Alan wasn't even really sure if she was even going to be, you know, trainable or be able to be trained. And she stood in a stall, I think, for like 6 months, the first, you know, part of her life. And she has just rebounded, and she's super nice. She's very quick filly, and she's got that tough attitude that pacing fillies definitely need.
I love that. All right, See Her Rule, Down by the Seaside. It's homebred.
Yeah, she's a homebred. Third Floor Stables from Ohio contacted me about training her. I didn't really know them, and they don't really know me, but they had a Down by the Seaside filly, and I told them, you know, send me a picture or video or something of her, because I do like to keep my stable, you know, in manageable numbers. So I just don't want to, you know, train horses to train horses. So she had to show me something a little special in order for me to tell them yes. And she did. They sent me a video, and she was, you know, really nice on the video. So I was pleasantly surprised when she showed up. She's a, you know, beautiful big filly, and I think she's going to do really well in, you know, just not Ohio side or stakes. I think she can race a little bit outside in the Grand Circuit too.
Okay, now moving on to Turn Up the Music, another Tall Dark Stranger, a $52,000 Lexington purchase.
Yeah, Turn Up the Music is probably one of my better fillies. She's obviously a Tall Dark Stranger. She's out of Dance Blue, who I trained as a 3-year-old. You know, very quick filly. She looks like a little troll, actually. I always laugh because she's just a funny look. Like, she's muscular, and she's always got this little attitude about her, and she moves over the ground beautifully, and she's got a lot of grit and determination, so I think she could do a lot of things on the track.
Okay, we're going to move to the trotters now. We have Colonel North, a Tactical Landing, a $45,000 Lexington purchase, and a first foal.
Yeah, so Colonel North, I actually went to Peninsula Farm to look at some other babies. He wasn't really on my list because he sold, I think, on the 3rd or 4th day. and I was mainly focusing on first and second day horses to shortlist. And John Drewer told me, he's like, you have to see this tactical landing colt. I promise you, you're gonna like him. And I was like, okay, because I feel like breeders tell me this all the time. But I was like, all right, John, go ahead, bring him out. And he was. John was right. He's absolutely gorgeous colt, and he's training super. He's a little bit like a mix between maybe Tactical Approach and Karl, how he's built, because he's, big like Tactical Approach was, but a little bit more lean, like towards Karl's direction.
Okay, we have another tactical landing, Uncle Bjorn out of Solveig, who a great racing mare, but she's also in the Hall of Fame to be like as a broodmare. So like that kind of tells you everything right there. But $70,000 at Harrisburg. Oh, and you're part owner.
Yeah, we were really surprised that he only brought $70,000. I'm really not sure what happened, because I think we were all going to the sale expecting that we were going to have to pay over $300 for him. So I was, super happy. And then one of the original partners decided not to stay in on him. So I was like, I'll take that piece at price at $70,000, or my piece was obviously less than $70,000, but at that price. And he is absolutely gorgeous colt. Like, I absolutely love him. He covers the ground great. He's got a great attitude, and it would be really, really nice for Solveig to have a really top colt. She's getting up in age. I took care of her when she was 2, so it's kind of, nice to kind of see this, like, towards the end of her maybe broodmare career, that she could really have a nice colt, which I think she does, so we'll see.
All right, how about What the Wow, a Crazy Wow, and a $38,000 Lexington yearling?
Yeah, What the Wow, I actually saw up at Crawford Farms. He's a beautiful big colt. He looks actually a lot like his dad. He was definitely one of Michelle's favorites too. So I actually went and bought him, and interestingly enough, Tony Alania actually owns a piece of him with me, and Robbie Pride and Heather Reese, who's the farm manager at Crawford Farms, and Michelle Crawford Farms, retained a little piece of him. But he's a beautiful colt. He's very big. He covers a lot of ground. He can be a little spunky sometimes, but I think that's good that boys are like that.
We're going to get back to another tactical landing, so let's get back to him. And we've got Very Busy, sold as Honolulu Valley, $35,000 from Lexington.
Yeah, so this colt is absolutely a gorgeous colt on the floor. He's out of a Ready Cash mare, and his second dam is one of the greatest French mares ever, Bahama. So I think he maybe fell a little bit under the cracks because maybe American buyers were maybe not so familiar with his pedigree, since it was a lot of foreign pedigree on his page. But since our family follows a little bit of European racing, we were familiar with the pedigree, and he moves really well. I love the Ready Cash on the bottom. I think that's going to bring a lot of speed, and hopefully he keeps racing, or when he starts racing, he races very well and keeps me very, very, very busy.
Yes. Why did you make up that name, Very Busy? Like, where'd that come from? Because it's a name change.
Yeah, so my mom actually named him. I think there's a really good thoroughbred named Busy something or another that raced in the Pegasus World Cup or something, and she never bets on any horses, and she bet I don't know anything about betting.
$2
like
across the board
or something.
I don't know. Yeah.
She actually made money, and it's funny because I said to her, oh, I bet you bet on that horse because his name was Busy. And she's like, yeah, because she says all the time, I'm very busy. I'm very busy. I'm like, I think his name is I'm Very Busy, the thoroughbred. Okay. And I'm like, how are you busy? You and Dad retired and you're in Florida all year. And she's like, I'm very busy. So then we decided to name this colt Very Busy.
That is so good. That is so good. Okay, so finally, I have one more to talk to you about, trotting filly, Champagne Problems. Now, this is my favorite name, okay, because I'm a proud Swiftie, and this is a name change. So I'm wondering, I know you're a Swiftie too, right? You went to the Eras tour. So was this your idea, Champagne Problems?
So Champagne Problems is actually part owned by both my children, and my daughter Ella renamed her Champagne Problems because she's like, oh, let's give her a cute name. And then she was like going through Taylor Swift songs, and she's like, well, Champagne Problems is a good name. And I'm like, yeah, let's hope we have some champagne problems after she races. So yeah, she's a super nice filly too. Covers a lot of ground. She's got a little bit like of an older pedigree, I would say, but there's plenty of speed in the pedigree, and I think, adding tactical landing to that could probably kind of pick it up a notch. Sometimes you see like older families come back a couple generations later, as long as it's in their foundation. And I think she could be one of those types of fillies.
And we also want to mention $35,000 yearling purchase. So we really stayed with the theme today. And I also think that this was a great idea. I'm glad you made that list to show people that you do not have to take a second mortgage out on your house to buy a yearling and to make money.
No, absolutely not. I think the most important thing is you just have to do your homework. I mean, we bought Bargain last year for $30,000 and you ended up making $200,000 last year. So, there are buys out there. We hear these stories all the time, but, you just can't show up on sale day. That's like, you can't cram for the test. You have to prepare for it. And, we start very early, looking at yearlings and pedigrees. And as soon as the sales catalog and the yearling videos come out, we're on work. So when I show up on sale night, I have my list and, I'm ready to bid on them. And I have most of the partnerships already figured out and everything like that, which, makes me very fortunate. And, so I think that, just do your homework. And there's definitely some gems out there.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you so much. I would talk to you more, but I'm very busy. But this has been fun. Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you, Heather.
Thank you guys for watching.